So my present shop situation is I don't have a lot of room inside, and what I have outside I really kind of need to run and drive so I can shuffle them around when I need to. So previously I rebuilt the carburetor. That's that separate video. Um, Very good improvement from that. There was some issues inside the carburetor, and I apologize again for the issues with recording of the actual process. But anyways, there were some further complications putting the carburetor back on the car. It did start better. It did run fine. It had a dead spot off idle, and it just wasn't quite running right. All I really had time to do previously was to rebuild the carburetor and then bolt it on there, connect that stuff up, and let it rip. So it worked, but it didn't really work great. So I figured, had a little extra time today. As I said, I'm waiting on some other parts, so I'd see if I could play with this a little bit and get it a little better finely tuned. I have not yet put spark plugs in it. This is all the same ignition stuff that the car came to me with. I did find a problem I'm going to in a second. The car had the ignition, MP ignition conversion done. This is actual Mopar parts. The cap and rotor have the factory part numbers on them and everything, so it actually are the Mopar piece, not the Chinese piece. And it's a little older setup. I think it was probably done 10 or 15 years ago would be my guess, and just moved to this car when this engine came to this car. So, any event, problem I had was a giant flat spot. As soon as you revved it up, even at operating temperature, it would just fall flat on its face. That's once the accelerator pump's fixed, that's a timing issue. We all know it's a timing issue. So started to look into the ignition and timing stuff and that kind of thing. And what I found was this distributor has a vacuum advance on it. I'm a big proponent of vacuum advances, both for throttle response and ultimately for mileage on a street car especially. There's no reason not to run it unless there's a mechanical reason why there's not enough vacuum to run it. So most things I do run it. I run it off of ported vacuum. I think if you have to switch to manifold vacuum, you probably ought to just delete it at that point because it's not helping you. My opinion. Anyways, the adjustments in these cans you do with an Allen wrench, small Allen wrench. It fits inside the nipple, and you get it into a hex in there. There's a spring in there, and this allows you to preload the pressure the spring puts on the diaphragm in there. It does not limit your vacuum advance amount. It does limit or change the requirement for the difference in pressure to move it. So if your vacuum advance has 10 degrees advance in it, it's still going to advance 10 degrees. But rather than requiring, say, 12 inches of vacuum to operate it, you can preload the spring so it would require 16 inches of vacuum or 8 inches of vacuum, that sort of thing. It covers a fairly large window of operating levels. Again, it's not really RPM, it's more load-based. That's where the vacuum signal comes in. But you can adjust it. I find that 2 turns is an adjustment that makes a feelable difference one way or the other, so I tend to dial them in that way. I did, on this car, this was set for no preload. So as soon as there was any vacuum, that thing would start advancing. And part of the problem that I had even in initially checking the timing was the amount of advance. I think it was 32 or 33 degrees initial, because the vacuum advance was already advancing at idle. This is a BBD. It has a weak vacuum signal at idle. It gets stronger as the throttles are opened, but this distributor was set to basically start advancing as soon as there was any vacuum at all. So I had to reset that. That allowed me to reset the base timing at the distributor, centrifugal here, or your base advance, and then to adjust the carburetor to dial it in quite a bit better than it was. It idles really smoothly now. It's cooling off. I'll start it up when I'm all done, but I figured I'd take care of the other issue I found, and that was when I was working on the vacuum advance, the bracket for the coil probably worked fine with the old distributor, which had a smaller vacuum can on it. It doesn't work well with this one, especially if you're trying to adjust it. So I was going to make some changes to that bracket, and then when I actually took the wire out of the coil, I found that. So if I go, hopefully you guys can see this and it's actually getting it. It's completely eroded the tower on the top of the coil. Not sure how that happened, why that happened. I drove the car here. It ran pretty good considering this, but I know about it. I just don't like it, so I'm going to get rid of it. So we're replacing with just another coil I had. I got to swap the brackets to this is the earlier like 2-barrel style bracket with the drop down. I think this is a 4-barrel bracket and it has higher pieces to align it a little differently. But I'm going to swap the coils out. Then just plug the wiring back in, and I will restart the video at that point because I'm sure you don't want to see me do this. So recently, Jamie over at Dead Dodge Garage had some write-ups on some ignition stuff in general on one of his cars, and one of the things that I thought I'd add to this pile in doing the coil wire and replacing the coil, I figured, well, unplugging the coil wire to replace the coil, I thought I would check at the wiring. This wire was the wire that was going to the coil. The problem is this end. This is the type of end that you would normally see like on a spark plug type of thing where they snap down onto it. You can put it into the coil on these earlier coils. You can plug it in, but it doesn't actually seat very well. It's fairly loose. I'm not sure if that had anything to do with that erosion or not. I tend to think not. But again, I know it's there. I don't really like it. So we're going to put in the correct one. This is the correct one. All right. This is the same style terminal that's in the other 8 positions on the cap. This is actually the cap end of it, with the cap boot, which is a little smaller than the coil boot. And one of the things Jamie mentions is pull it out like this, and when you go to install it, you're going to slide it into the coil and then slide the boot up so it engages definitely into the terminal inside that coil, and then you're going to slide the boot up to seal it. That's how you do it. So yeah, anyways, another issue, minor issue found and potentially solved. All right, back again. Distributor's all fixed. Coil stuff's all fixed for now. I went to go get some lunch. So let this cool down. Let's see how it starts and runs now. That's a little better than she was. I have to take her for a rip. Well, it takes 2 hands to drive this car. Impressions, it seems to run and drive a bit better. It's a little bit more spirited for sure. Steering wheel input without a lot of turning. I think the next thing's going to be working on the steering system and the front end, and potentially a little on the brakes, but mostly the steering system because this thing is all over the place. So that'll be next. But tuning wise, I think we're in a much better place now. I am going to replace the spark plug wires, and I do have to still do the plugs, but I'll probably take care of that when the engine goes back into the car, once I'm done with all the other work I have to do. But yeah, so far so good.